Hello, YouTube. It's me, John Avenger. Once again, welcome to another November to Remember. And this is a movie I'm definitely going to remember going into next year. It's a 2024 action sci-fi comedy animated film that bombed at the box office that came out back in September. Transformers 1. Yeah, this is an awesome movie. It's not my favorite movie of this year, but it would have been a great film in my top 10 easily if the movie had done well and, better timing. If I had seen it in the theater, but it was worth seeing. I saw it on Paramount Plus for free with my family, and I had a great time. I mean, it's got great action. The animation is a lot better than people give it credit for, because when the trailers came out, people said this looks like shit. I'm like, guys, the animators did a great job with the animation, especially on the robots. They have to look like toys. They are based on toys from the 80s that are robots. So letting them look like toys with faces, hey, at least they have distinct colors and they look like the robots from the cartoon. They're not the Bayformers where half of the robots look alike because they have the same color and faces. And I'm like, then and they have stereotypes. That's not the Transformers way. Here they do it well. There's no human characters to distract you from the plot. There's no racial stereotypes. There's no sex jokes, mostly. There's no 2.5 hour running time here. Josh, no matter what you say about the other movies, those movies are too long. All of them that Michael Bay directed are too freaking long. Even the first movie is too long. The one from 2007, it could have been 20 minutes shorter. Age of, Revenge of the Fallen, Dark of the Moon, Age of Extinction, and Last Night, they're like 20 or 30 minutes too long. You could cut a lot of this human garbage out, the sex jokes and the freaking girls that you don't need there, and the slow-mo and a lot of the going from country to country. Just tell a good story. This focused on the Transformers, and yet this is the one that flops. The one with no humans and no distractions and a running time of 1 hour and 43 minutes, and yet the movie bombs. Yet Revenge of the Fallen was one of the highest grossing movies of 2009. Yeah, life's not fair, guys. Sometimes I don't get how a movie like this bombs, and yet movies like Barbie made $1 billion last year, or Oppenheimer made almost $1 billion, and it's a drama with 3 hours of talking. Yeah, this world doesn't make any sense sometimes. It really doesn't, because I've seen movies that are much better than Oppenheimer and Barbie that made even less money than they did. But this movie is really good. I think most of the voice acting is solid. I have two problems with the films, but I'll get to that. I think Brian Tyree Henry was a good Megatron, even though he doesn't call himself Megatron till the end. Love Scarlett Johansson as Alita. She's got a sexy voice, and I love hearing her. I thought Keegan-Michael Key stole the show when he was Bumblebee. They actually gave Bumblebee more personality because he got to talk. He didn't have to hold back. Steve Buscemi plays one of the robots again, but he's not a stereotype here. You got John Hamm as Sentinel Prime. He does a good job. You got Lawrence Fishburne as one of the older primes that dies. But then there's one voice actor that I was not a big fan of. And don't say that I hate him in the comments, guys. Love him as Thor. He's got a kick-ass voice in real life, but he was not a good Optimus. AKA, in this movie, his name is Orion. Chris Hemsworth as Optimus Prime, I didn't buy it. Half of the dialogue that they give him, his accent slips out. I'm like, you know that Peter Cullen is a Canadian, right? The original voice of Optimus, he wasn't American either. But at least he has a great voice. I am Optimus Prime. That's not what Chris Hemsworth sounds like. His accent slips in and out of the movie, and it's distracting because I'm like, why does this robot that's red and blue have a freaking an Australian accent? That doesn't make any freaking sense, guys, because no one else in the movie has an accent like this. There's no Brits in the movie, thank God, because there's so many of them in the Bay films. And there's no one else with an accent like that. So why it's like, hey, guys, what's up, mate? And I'm like, why does freaking Optimus Prime sound like freaking Hugh Jackman? It doesn't make any sense, guys. That was a dumb a miscast decision that they made. They should have just brought Peter Cullen back or get another actor that sounds like him. Hell, Chris Pine would have been a better Optimus Prime, but here it's just Chris Hemsworth was miscast. He's a good actor. In other things I've seen him in, and in other movies he can keep his American accent, but here it didn't work because I'm like, the robots are supposed to sound the same or similar, and his accent slips in and out, and nobody else has that problem because they use their regular voices to just enhance it a little bit. Here, it felt really out of place, and I'm like, Optimus is the main character of the story. But Brian Tyree Henry is acting circles around him because he's giving it his all. He did Spider-Verse, so he knows what he's doing. But with Chris, it just felt really flat. I thought he was worse than Chris Pratt as Mario. At least Pratt sounds like Mario a bit. It's not the perfect Mario voice, but at least it sounded like it. It didn't take me out of the movie. Donkey Kong's voice did. Here, I didn't like Chris Hemsworth's voice. I'm sorry. And also, there's some jokes that kind of fall flat. Some of them were good. Some of them were kind of childish. And Bumblebee's like, Panasatron. That was cool when he said it the first time, but then he kept saying it and kept saying it and kept saying it. I'm like, we get it. You're the Panasatron. You didn't have to say it 14 times. Kids don't need repetition, guys. We're not slow. Just that. That's the only thing. The action was great. The pacing was good. The animation is stunning. The CGI doesn't look terrible. I don't know what people were talking about. Critics actually really enjoyed this, and I can see why. And it's only an hour and 43 minutes. That's with the end credits. There's 2 post-credit scenes. If you haven't seen it yet, I would recommend watching it on Paramount Plus. You won't be disappointed. But the movie, yeah, like I said, has 2 post-credit scenes, and even without those, it's an hour and 35 minutes, guys. That is what the other film should have been. Not 2.5 hours, not 2:45, not 2:20, not 2:15, even 2 hours or less. Not you. It's not studio mandating, Josh. Cutting a movie down to a running time like this is perfect for a kids film. You don't have to go Spider-Verse, the second Spider-Verse, where it's 2 hours and 13 minutes. It's way too long. You could have cut that whole opening without Miles in it because it doesn't add anything to the film. Here, it goes by quick. They give the origin. They show what happens in Cybertron. They get to the action. They get to the ending. It's over. You don't have to drag out the freaking running time for 30 or 40 minutes. You don't need to do that. That's not mandating. That's just common sense. If it's a kid's film, it needs to be under 2 hours because kids can't sit in the theater that long. That's what's going to hurt Wicked a little bit, that some families are going to take their kids to see a 2.5 hour movie that's only a 2-parter. I'm like, yeah, that's going to be a problem. Moana 2 is only an hour and 40. Know your running time, know your audience, and give them what they want. This movie did, but the problem is they didn't show up to it. I should have saw this in the theater because it was really awesome. Third act was badass, especially when Optimus gets the freaking, that seed or whatever, that upgrade, and then he becomes Optimus Prime that we wanted from the beginning of the movie. Because in the beginning of the film, it's just Chris Hemsworth's voice just took me out of it. It was really strange. But anyway, if you haven't seen Transformers 1, it's finally on Paramount Plus. Watch it. Because if you missed it in the theater, this is your chance now. It's a good movie, a good animated film. Is it better than the 1986 film? I wouldn't say that because Peter Cullen is he's still always going to be Optimus Prime, guys. Even after he's dead, he's going to be Optimus Prime. They're just going to use his archive voice like they did with Mel Blanc after he died and did Bugs Bunny. Because I'm like, you just can't beat the classics, Hemsworth is not awful. It's just his accent slips in and out, and it's noticeable, especially in this movie. But the rest of the cast does fine. The action, the animation, and the pacing, and even some of the dialogue is a lot more adult than I was expecting. So it's a good film. I give it a thumbs up. It's going to be an honorable mention of mine this year. But see it if you haven't. I would recommend it no matter what, despite my issues with it. Thanks for watching. Acknowledge me, and I'll see you guys next time.